hearing that word lean just put on an unnecessary bodily pressure on myself that I have to look a certain way. I know it sounds something so like miniature, but for me mentally, I just didn't feel I wanted that to be so apparent anymore. So yeah, now I'm just focused on doing what I want to do really. So if I do want to get more leaner, that's cool. If I want to get more bulkier, that's also cool too. So I'm just open to anything at the moment just to see how we get on.
That is Lucas Vasillis. After jumping into Veganuary 2021 the day before with no initial lead up, just a spur of the moment decision, he has now changed his whole mindset, his whole perspective on diet and nutrition. In this episode, we discuss a year of being vegan from January to December 2021. The fitness, the struggles, the muck-ups, David Attenborough, and much, much more. To give people jumping onto Veganuary 2022 an insight into the first year of a Veganuary member. So let's sit back and enjoy this episode of Plant Fueled. So Lucas, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. You're actually the second guest in, and obviously I thought, seeing that we're launching this in the new year, that having somebody that's actually experienced and gone through Veganuary and hasn't quit by the end of it would be the perfect person to come onto the podcast and just kind of talk about your experiences with the Veganuary process, because obviously everybody jumps on it as a campaign, and some do it as kind of just an experiment to see how their bodies deal with it, how the lifestyle works for them, and some people by the end do drop off as it's just kind of a once or twice little experiment, and then kind of carry on eating the way they were before, or kind of they may have reduced meat and just kind of taken in alternatives or more of a whole foods process on food. But so I thought you'll be the perfect person, because obviously I came across you probably I think it was the day you actually set up your Instagram account. But I think when I followed you, I think it was you had 5 or 6 people following you, and you only had like one picture. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna follow you, and yeah, ever since we've been speaking, I think ever since.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it's been a really great year, to be honest. Veganuary, I decided to do the day before on New Year's Eve. Because that wasn't the plan. I'd already started verging towards more of a veggie diet. And then I thought, hang on a minute. I like to give myself a little project for the year. And I thought, okay, let's start the year with Veganuary and just see how we get on for that month, and then maybe go back to a veggie lifestyle. So that was the initial plan. And then the more I got into it, the more I enjoyed it, and the more I've got to experiment with different foods and flavors. And it just stuck. And here we are a year later. So it's been a really, really great year.
I think that's the thing with Veganuary. Either some people absolutely love it, some people absolutely despise it. And to be fair, I think if you go for the wrong foods, and you can really put yourself in a situation where it's just not a lifestyle for you.
Yes, for sure.
I know quite a few people that have kind of gone onto the lifestyle through Veganuary, and they've gone halfway through and they've just kind of gone on a whole food basis, which if you're going from a very meat orientated or veggie orientated diet to completely whole foods, it's a massive jump. You're eating like
Yeah.
the lentils compared to those kind of mid-ground foods like the Beyond Burgers and stuff like that. And then they kind of be like, oh, you know what, beans and rice, not for me. And then kind of go back on
Yeah.
themselves.
I made that mistake maybe the first couple of weeks. I was like, I'm gonna try and go whole foods straight away. And if there was one piece of advice I'd give anyone, it'd be exactly that, not to go straight into a whole foods, and definitely ease yourself into a process, because it is a big adjustment, not just like mentally, but also physically on your body, and how it reacts to the food that it's absorbing. So yeah, I definitely would recommend easing
Because
yourself in?
I didn't go Whole Foods for the first few years as such. It was more a gradual thing because I think I was the kind of same process everybody does, where it's that kind of pescatarian and then vegetarian and then dabbling in a few vegan things, and now very much Whole Foods. But it's taken a while to get there. It's not something I could have done straight away.
Mm,
Like it's one of those
yeah,
always like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I knew full well if I did it straight on, it just wouldn't have worked for me. But
yeah,
yeah,
100%. And it's only recently in the last couple of months of 2021 where I've started to incorporate more whole foods because for the majority of last year, I was having meat alternatives every day for dinner and then have more whole foods during the day. And that's still not a terribly bad balance to have, but that's going to be more of my focus this year for 2022 is to really incorporate that whole foods diet. But then, of course, you still got to enjoy your vegan junk food. That's what life's about.
yeah, yeah. You can really cut out the ice cream once in a while, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we love the ice cream.
That's the thing. As much as I take on a giant Whole Food stance, like I'm not gonna restrain myself from having like a burger once in a while, or kind of.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if I'm having a down day, I want that pack of Oreos.
That's it. And you should have those pack of Oreos, 100%.
But like so you started Veganuary so on the January the day before. So what was your diet before then? Was it mainly vegetarian, or was it still very a meat-based diet where you wanted to kind of go to a vegetarian lifestyle, or was it vegetarian beforehand?
So it was, mm, I could say in 2019 is when I was a bit, I've started to become a bit more aware of my meat intake. And I remember cutting down any meat out of my lunches. That was the first step. And so then I'd go for, yeah, I'd have either fish or falafel, and then I'd have meat in the evenings for dinner. So then that went on for quite a while. And then in 2020, it was just more of a meat-based way of eating. And then I watched a documentary.
That's one thing I was going to ask. Was it a documentary that changed you?
Yeah, it's always a documentary. So I watched the David Attenborough documentary in 2020, A Life on Our Planet. So that was more towards the end of 2020. And I thought, yeah, that's it. I've really got to just stop eating meat and really reduce my meat intake drastically because it's going to benefit the planet in the long run. And so that's the direction I went in. And then, like I said, I was going to continue that. And then I thought, let's give Veganuary a go. And I'm glad that I did because the dairy industry, again, is corrupt. But we could do a whole nother podcast on that. But yeah, that's what's made me stick to it. I think the most is knowing that.
Yeah, I think like when it comes to documentaries as well, the David Attenborough one, like I've seen it and it's such an incredible and powerful documentary. Um, but it's never one that I ever hear people saying that's the one that made them change. Normally, you kind of get
No.
the cowspiracy, you get the game changers, you get fork over knives, and the David Attenborough one is a brand new one to me. Like, I absolutely love that documentary. It was
Mm,
very eye-opening. It was absolutely incredible, and I
exactly.
actually got to go see it at the cinema.
Oh, did you?
In between the like pandemics when everything opened for what 3 months, they did a kind of screening before it went
Yeah,
on Netflix. So I went to go see it there, and and just blew my mind just the kind of choices that we were making and how it really affected the planet. Because
yeah,
obviously, normally
exactly.
you see if you see game changers, you see it from a very health-based point of view. If you see it from like
Mm,
Cowspiracy, it's very animal-based. Whereas um, when you see it from the environmental space, people don't realize that's happening. People don't realize there's that whole
exactly.
kind of what I'm paying for. So let's say I am paying for something to do with that has palm oil in it. that is kind of
Mhm.
tearing down the trees, the orangutans, all those small things that we don't think of. And it was so eye-opening to see everything.
Yeah, exactly. It is that bigger impact that really gets you starting to think about how you live your life and how there's a bigger picture to it.
That's the thing. And I think especially when you like go into this the vegan lifestyle or plant-based lifestyle, whatever people want to call it, is the fact that you will start seeing it from other sides. So I went in it purely for animals. Um,
Mm,
and then the nutrition side came straight afterwards, because I had no idea that it was actually going to benefit my health in any way. I knew that
mhm.
obviously, vegetables hold all your kind of vital vitamins and minerals, but I didn't care about those. I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to do it for the animals, and then
Yeah,
everything that came afterwards, and then especially the environment as well that came afterwards, and then you see things like Seaspiracy, and then it's a minefield. Then you've just been sucked into it.
exactly. There's no going back once you've
Once you
incorporated
research so
veganism into your
much.
life. Yeah, exactly. It just sticks, and you're like, this is my life now.
But I'm actually surprised like that you did that kind of overnight transition thing, because obviously like normally
Mm,
when people are leading up to Veganuary, they're like, you know what, I'm going to start this in January. It's November now. I've got a month to get through everything I want to. Most people go to like McDonald's on their New Year's Eve just to go get that kind of like last cheeseburger, and then they're
yeah.
like, you know what, overnight I'm going to try it out. But
I've
for
just,
having it like the night before and being like, you know what, let's do this, that's an achievement in itself. So I never
oh,
realized.
thank you. I know, I'm still glad I did it. And there's so many tools out there, and I think that's why it's been such an easy year. Like you said, that we've met through Instagram. Instagram is absolutely amazing for the vegan society on there. It's incredible the amount of people you have creating these recipes or inform people about the effects on animals and the environment. And YouTube as well. I've found it to be really useful when it comes to playing around with different recipes and flavors and tastes. And I could sit and watch people cook all day. I think it's absolutely brilliant because I would never call myself a cook or a chef, but I just absolutely admire people that can cook, and especially when it's vegan and tastes amazing, and it does wonders for the animals on the planet.
I think that's the thing. As long as you know how to cook all the right spices, then you can really get just kind of create anything. This is
Yeah.
how especially people that I'm talking to that are in that kind of transitional period, that are kind of
Mhm.
like, oh, I love like a chili or I love a bolognese, and I'm like, everything apart from the mince. If you replace the mince with the lentils, everything
Yeah.
about it is exactly the same. Like nothing's
Exactly the same.
so.
Exactly. It's in the flavor and it's in the taste. That's where it lies.
Yeah,
So
but if you're not seasoning a chili, well, it's not a chili. You're not going to have any spice to it. But it's
yeah,
the same with bolognese. If you don't have those herbs, then it's going to be very much a tomato-based sauce with whatever you've got in it. So it's
exactly.
just playing around with all these different spices, herbs, just these just different seasonings. And I think ever since I went, I've had. Well, I think my cupboard is now full with spices I didn't even know existed. Because obviously beforehand it was kind of like paprika, cumin, oregano, and a few others. And
The standard, yeah.
now it's very much a cupboard full of a few hundred different spices that I still haven't got around to trying. I would just see something in a shop, I'll be like, you know what? I want to try this. I have no idea what it is. At the moment, I've got this one thing in the cupboard. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember. I know it's
Oh yeah.
I just know it's Ethiopian, and
What
but
does it look like?
it looks grey. It's a grey season. That's all I can tell you about it. Like I will let you know how it tastes, but
Yes. Oh my God.
I have no idea what to do with it yet. So I'm going to try out a new recipe with that later on this week, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I'm intrigued to see what it tastes like
Yeah,
and
same.
what it's called.
It does. It does look like grit. It looks like grit.
I recently bought black salt and I've been having that with my scrambled tofu.
That's a game
And
changer. Black salt
it,
is an absolute game changer.
it really is. I mean, I enjoyed scrambled tofu before, but it really has upped the game here with
I think
scrambled
especially
tofu.
if you were an egg addict beforehand, because I know some people when they move over, it's very much they're like, oh, eggs and cheese,
Mm,
which now black salt. Like you put that on anything, and even if you have a little lick of it, it's just eggy. It's
Yeah,
just so eggy. It's actually probably more eggy than actual egg.
more egg than egg. And obviously, tofu's got more protein than eggs do. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, you can't really lose.
No, not
Can't
at all.
really lose at all. So obviously, like you went vegan because it was the environment, it was animals. But when did the health come into it for
I think for me, I've always struggled when it comes to finding that balance of enjoying food and having a healthy lifestyle with it and a healthy relationship with food. So that for me was trying Veganuary was the eye opener for me because I realized actually you can eat what you like and still get results if that's what you want to do and not have to restrict yourself. So that's been the biggest thing for me this year is unlearning those bad habits of, oh, you can't have carbs, you can't have this, you can't have that. And actually, wait, you can have this and you can have that because that in the long run is a lot more sustainable way to live your life because you need food, you need carbs, and to restrict yourself from that is not the way forward.
Absolutely. And I think, especially in this day and age, for some reason, things like carbs, things like fats are very demonized um,
Very, very,
throughout. Because you are like, especially doing nutrition myself, you will see some people that say they are experts being like, you know what, carbs are bad, you shouldn't have them. And
mhm,
that's actually going on like natural carbs. So like the complex carbs, they're like, oh, you know, like the carbs from like let's say chickpeas, for instance, they're like,
mm,
oh, these are awful for you. I'm like, how are you alive? How are you surviving? Well, we to be fair, we can live without carbs, but your energy won't really be thriving. Your
no,
stomach will run down. So I don't see how these people actually have the energy to even just perform a day-to-day basis. Because obviously these carbs are essential for our bodies. Obviously, when we're talking about carbs, I'm not talking like, you know, carbs from Oreos and stuff like that. But like if some of these experts are like, oh yeah, all carbs are bad. So I'm like, so you're putting the carbs from let's say a burger bun and the carbs from like chickpeas and lentils in the same category. And
yeah, exactly.
it's just insane. And the nutrition industry it's so it is very corrupt as well.
It's
It's
very
basically
damaging.
especially when you look at people on TV and who they're actually being paid by as well, because obviously there's always an ulterior motive when somebody is talking, and you have to always kind of question everything
Mm,
and whether what they're saying is completely the truth. And 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of false accusations that go around. I'm like that. That's to say, like I've probably made accusations at some point, but I'm always learning as well, and it's always science is always changing as well. So
mhm.
it's kind of learning along the way. There's some things now that I learn, and they've slowly started changing over time. Obviously with the science, but it's a minefield. It's an absolute minefield.
Yeah, it really is, and I hope people really start to realize that that's not the way you should be living your life through restrictive eating, and there's a way to enjoy food, whether that be through veganism or not, and I think people would really benefit in knowing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like because people when they want to lose weight, they will normally restrict themselves to the point where they just can't enjoy food. And
Exactly.
I get this a lot where people come to me being like, "Oh, I've cut my calories down to 1,200 calories." I'm like,
Why? Why?
why? It's it's the requirements for a toddler for one. And but people don't realize that there are certain requirements and certain needs for a human body to actually thrive to the best of its ability. But when you start
Mm,
cutting down to that, or just constantly eating salads as well, that's another one.
yeah.
Like,
Oh gosh, I was definitely part of that gang for a good while.
oh, so was I.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, I was like, you know what, lose weight, salad. And it would normally be
Salad, yeah.
something like cucumber, tomato, lettuce,
Yeah.
and a few other bits, and be like, yeah, you know what? This holds everything I need.
Exactly. Oh
And now I look
gosh.
back at it, I'm like, oh, why? Like, so I don't mind a salad now. Like, I'm partial to a salad, but
Yeah.
at least it will be somewhat better than what it used to be. So I have like, well, my salads are now Buddha bowls. They're basically the same thing. But
Yeah.
they've got like, like crumbled tofu on top, avocado, all these other bits and pieces, nuts, seeds. And I enjoy them a lot more than
Exactly.
cucumber, tomato, and
Yeah. Definitely spicing up your salad right there, Callum. And I think it's understanding your macros as well and where you're getting these nutrients from. So, as you said, you've put tofu on your salad, so that's your protein source. Then you've got your nuts, that's your healthy fat source.
yeah, that's exactly it. As long as you know where you're getting certain nutrients from.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when people are like, oh, I don't realize or didn't realize selenium exists. And I'm like, it's not hard to acquire your whole source of selenium through just one Brazil nut. And then it's done,
Mm,
that's you done for the day. Anything else is a bonus. And it's just finding out where you're getting these certain nutrients from, making sure you're getting enough. And then your body starts to thank you for it, because I've never felt healthier. Like,
yeah,
I felt so much better.
I agree. I feel exactly the same. So it's like your whole body just shifts, but it's more of a mental thing as well. You just feel completely different. Like, who is this new person?
You also don't seem to get the bloat anymore either. Like, I feel like the bloat
Yeah.
you get is non-existent. Oh, unless I kind of, spend out and get a Papa John's. But we all know,
Oh,
like with a Papa John's, you're gonna feel crap
the
afterwards. You're not
Papa John's, the vegan works pizza, I think is the best vegan pizza to
Mm,
date.
I
Out
would
of all the
agree.
brands out there. Oh my
I would agree, but
goodness.
I do change it up. I do add more toppings to it. So I have the initial base,
Ooh. What else
and
do you
I
add?
keep I keep the black olives. I love an olive, but I also add pineapple.
Oh dear.
And I know some people will absolutely hate me for it, but I
I'm
don't
just
see
gonna
any
end the
problem.
Zoom call now.
I don't mind pineapple on pizza. It doesn't. It's not too bad. Like, it's a bit
It's
sweet.
that age-old
It's a bit
debate, isn't
sweet and
it?
salty when you got olives and pineapple. It's a good mix.
Oh, see, I'm not a fan of olives either. So your Papa John's pizza sounds like a pizza from my nightmares.
That's the thing. I had a bunch of friends that I brought it in front of, and they were like, "That's vile. Like, why would you do that to anything?" And I did force them to try it, and they can confirm that it's not as bad as it sounds.
Oh, okay, okay.
But to be fair, if you're going to buy a whole entire pizza like it and you hate it, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you actually first went vegan, did you have any like kind of fight back from like your family or friends? 'Cause I get this a lot where people are like people want to go in that direction, and then their kind of parents are putting these kind of ideas in their head where it's not the healthiest way to go. Um, Friends as well, they've been like, oh, because especially like people that are like gym rats. There's friends that are like, oh, you know what? You can't get your protein. It's non-existent. You
Mhm.
can't get it. And then it kind of puts people in that kind of bit scared. They're a bit scared of what they're doing is now going to be wrong. And I get
Yeah,
it. There's been moments where I've had to teach my family that what you've grown up thinking, what you've grown
yeah,
up being taught isn't exactly the truth.
yeah, exactly this. There was, I wouldn't say there was any pushback. I think there was more just not a clear understanding of what it's about.
So there's more curiosities, I'd say.
Yeah. Like, she might hate me for saying this, but my nan, my absolute wild, she only time I talk about veganism, she'd send the green throwing up emoji. And I had to say to her, I was like, man, come on, like you stop using that emoji. I'm taking offense now. She's like, I'm only messing with you. And then I actually sent her a vegan chocolate bar in the post for Easter. And she absolutely loved it. So I think it's just getting people to try the foods you're actually eating as a vegan and for them to experience it. And that's when that changes their mentality as well. Just introducing them to, yeah, exactly what you're eating.
That's exactly it. Because for my once again, my dad is also going to hate this. That every time I'm ever on a podcast, I do bring him up, and every time he hates it. So sorry, Dad. I know you're going to listen to it. Um, he's not overly down with the idea of it. He's now trying more things, but
Mhm.
he in Audi they have a vegan beef jerky,
Oh, I'll
and
try that.
I've never been a fan of beef jerky. It wasn't ever my thing. Um, but he was, and he picked it up. I'm not too sure if he picked it up by accident or actually was he wanted to try it. But I think
Mhm.
he eats that now more than anything else.
Really? That's his go-to snack?
Apparently it's very good. I've never tried it. Apparently
Oh,
the Audi beef jerky or fake beef jerky um, is amazing. Apparently it's got the same texture,
oh,
the same taste. And I know as soon as he tried that, he then started stocking up on that. Plus, it was cheaper. Um,
there we go. Wow, he's converted.
yeah, I'm slowly trying to. I think he tried a vegan Richmond sausage the other day, or so I've been told anyway. I don't know how true it is.
Wow.
Apparently,
See,
yeah,
little baby steps.
yeah. I think just showing people that it's not like kind of like in the 80s when it was a nut roast. Because everybody
Yeah.
assumes still very much nut roast. They assume your Beyond Burgers, your Moving Mountain Burgers are all made out
Mm.
of like peas and other odd bits of vegetable,
Yeah,
whereas it's very much
vegetables.
so different from that. Like a bean burger, yeah, like it says what it says in the name. It's very much what it says on the tin. But
Yeah.
in reality, there's nothing like it. It's kind of like the McDonald's burger. I've not tried it yet. I know you have.
Ooh.
Um, how is it?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, what a year to go vegan and to have a McDonald's burger released. And for someone who's always been like a very big McDonald's fan, I've really enjoyed the McPlant a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
see,
lovely
where I
texture.
am, it's probably nearest one's probably 40 minutes on the train. So I
Oh
still
no.
haven't got round to like trying it out yet, but I've seen only good things.
I think there's definitely been an increase in options, in vegan options throughout the whole of hospitality. It's been insane. There's a
Yeah,
new release like every week at this point. It's absolutely brilliant.
it does seem that way because I remember like a year ago going into my local like Morrison's or Tesco, and there was kind of a small section with a few
Yeah,
bits and pieces, and now the section every month just seems to be growing and expanding. And this is the thing,
yeah.
like I predominantly Whole Foods, but whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, I need to try that now. And then I get,
Yeah.
and then next thing I know, I've got like a vegan like a vegan chicken Kiev. I've got I've got the new sausages. Trying the Richmond bacon, the Richmond vegan bacon,
Oh,
which
I've not tried that yet.
surprisingly very good.
Oh, I
It
do
just
need to
tastes
try
like
that.
what I can remember bacon tasting like.
Yeah.
With the same texture, which actually kind of weirded me out because I've kind of removed myself so far away from that that then having that or having something that very much resembled it really took me back.
You almost have to double check the package just in
Yeah,
case.
no, it's literally what I had to I had to double check everything, especially like beyond like some of the beyond bits as well. I'm just kind of I have to double check. I know it's not.
Yeah,
I've
Beyond
stood there
is
and brought it and
ridiculous.
with that overpriced sausage, but I'm like, I know it is what it is, but
Yeah,
it
the
blows your mind.
texture's just unreal. I've never quite experienced anything like it with a Beyond Burger.
Yeah, it is also
It's scary.
moving mountains as well. Moving mountain burgers are
Mm,
something else.
so great. Oh, just love a burger. I really, really do. Have you tried the bacon plant burger from Honest Burgers before?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. That's been the best burger I've had as a vegan today. It's incredible.
See, I
Oh,
think I think the best one I've had. This was actually a few months back. Actually, I tried it at a vegan camp out for the first time, uh,
Oh yeah.
and it was the Halo Burger.
Oh yeah.
And
Halo
Halo
burger's
Burger is
great.
just, it was incredible. And I was like, after eating that, I was like, oh, I really need to try this again. And I know there's
It's
one
that
only.
sauce, isn't it? That it's
It is
completely
the sauce.
covered in. Oh,
And I was like, oh,
it's
I need to try
amazing.
this again. But my nearest one's like 40 minutes away. But I went to Brighton a few weeks ago and they have a Halo Burger there. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's time. It's time to indulge again.
Yes. Have you tried their milkshakes as well?
I haven't.
Oh, they do good milkshakes.
I was never a fan of milkshakes because I was always lactose intolerant. So the
Ah.
milkshakes really just kind of screwed with me. Like literally, I drink one and 10 minutes later I would be on the toilet.
And
Absolutely.
not how you want to spend your day.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly how I know if somebody's really screwed up the order wherever I go. If because obviously if I start feeling bad or sick, I know there's been milk in there somewhere.
Yeah. Have
This
you had
now
that quite a lot
I had it
when
in Costa.
someone's given you?
I've had it in Costa once
Mm,
when buying a coffee. Um, and they clearly didn't use the right milk. But obviously after that mistake had been made, I'd already drunk the coffee, so I couldn't really go back on that.
no, that's it.
It, it happens. It does happen. Have you made any mistakes in the whole in this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had people that like feed me things that have contained egg powder or milk powder. Why does everything need to have milk powder? And they've not been aware of the fact that it's contained that, so therefore it's not been vegan.
Mm.
But mistakes are just completely natural in
Yeah,
your
I think
everyday
when it's a
life.
mistake and it's not kind of a somebody forcing something upon you because
Yeah,
you know it has, it's kind of you can forgive it.
yeah, exactly. Mistakes are inevitable, especially when you're still learning and transitioning. And even so, even if you've been vegan for 5 years, I'm sure people still make mistakes then too. It's just part of life. So exactly, you just have to get on with it and accept it.
Yeah, see that I think the biggest mistake I know of was that it happened with my mum and sister. They were on holiday probably, I think it was like 3 4 months ago now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna shout out the restaurant because you know
Are they both vegan too?
they're both vegan too. Um, so they went and ordered a sausage sandwich, and on the blackboard it said they had vegan sausages.
Oh,
And when they got served it, they were like, "Oh, it just looks like a sausage. They will do." But they were munching into it, and they were like, "This seems more meaty than usual."
oh no.
And they asked where they got the sausages from, and it turns out that well, the chef came out, was like, "Oh, we got them from the butchers across the road."
No.
And yeah, so apparently the I think the manager took all the staff in the back or something, and there was a very big kind of I'm guessing argument or telling off for the chefs and the staff
Mm.
there. But the lady was very apologetic. But apparently, they only did the vegan sausages on weekends, but obviously advertised it throughout the week.
Oh
And
dear.
yeah, but no one ever thought to tell them this, and they just got served
Mm.
very big, thick butcher sausages.
Oh gosh,
And yeah,
that's
they
not
felt
great.
ill. They felt ill for days after as well because I think
Yeah, gosh, I
once
can
you haven't
imagine.
eaten that way in such a while, and then you add something
Mm.
like that into your body, it's not going to handle it well.
Yeah, I think veganism needs to be treated the same way it would with any dietary requirement, with the
Mm,
same seriousness as well. And especially if you're trying out veganism for the first time this year, don't be ashamed to ask at the restaurant and ask again if you need to. The amount of times I've double checked just because I want to be sure, there's no harm in that, and it should be respected by the people at the restaurant as well. And most of the time it is as well, and they're more than happy to accommodate you. So yeah, don't be frightened to ask.
yeah, absolutely. I ask in a majority of places, especially when it comes to places that serve both like I will try as many small independent vegan food chains as possible.
Mm,
But when it is somewhere where they are serving both, I need to make sure, especially with like sauces as well.
yes.
Sauces can be one that people just don't think of, like mayonnaise, for instance.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
So how was your obviously your first month went well because clearly because you're here a year later, and I'm guessing not thinking of ever going back to it.
No,
But
never.
in your first month, did you have struggles?
I think yes, in terms of what do I cook? And because I did try and do more of a whole foods diet to begin with. So if I was to go back a year ago, I definitely wouldn't have done that. um, but I think again for the whole year, for the whole 12 months, I think I've just gotten more confident and gained more knowledge about how to make great tasting vegan food that's also high in protein, high in carbs, and it's fueling me and my workout. So it's definitely been a journey, but I wouldn't have changed. I really wouldn't have changed anything this entire year because it's got me to where I am now. And the next year, this year is going to be even bigger and better.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, especially now that obviously like Veganuary is around the corner again, there's going to be a huge launch of new products for you to try.
Exactly. Can't wait.
You can only get more excited. But I
Oh,
think when I first followed you, your Instagram page was lazy lean vegan.
it
But
was.
that's slowly changed now.
That's changed. Yes.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, no, what was the initial? Well, I'm guessing the initial process of that was it kind of like a diary to yourself about how you can well get leaner while on a vegan diet.
On a vegan diet, exactly. And then again, it's sort of linked in with the journey. So I started my Instagram April 2020. So coming up to a year now. And again, I think the name change is also corresponds with that journey that I've had on my
Mm.
first year as a vegan. So I was being a bit lazy with it, but that's because I didn't have the know-to and the knowledge just yet. So I was just doing quick things with a jar sauce and mock meat, boom, sorted. Whereas now, recently towards the end of 2021, is where I've really been trying to make my own sauces and eating more whole foods. So going from the lazy vegan to more just I like it vegan. Sort of mirrors my actual journey in veganism.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, when I first came across you, I think your first three pictures that it was because you had green squares at first, like a dark green
Yeah.
square
Yeah.
with something in that was like a food that you tried, and then it was a picture of you and your progress over the weeks. And watching that progress actually for the first few months was actually very incredible because you could see that definition was there and you were slowly building this muscle and becoming leaner. And
Yeah.
it was actually something quite exciting to see because obviously whenever someone talks about getting muscly, getting leaner, everybody thinks, chicken and rice,
Yeah.
broccoli.
Oh
And then
gosh.
it's nice to see it from a completely different perspective where you're not throwing in
Yeah.
obviously rice, chicken, broccoli, but at the same time you're not doing rice, tofu, broccoli either. It's
Yeah,
very much
that's
you're
just as
just kind
bad,
of
I think.
it was kind of you experimenting and then kind of seeing how it went, and you could see it was working as well. And
Yeah.
you made a huge amount of process in or progress in such a small amount of time as well.
Yeah. I think this year I'm excited to really get stuck in and to really build some muscle going forward while still enjoying myself, not restricting myself.
Yeah.
Because that's what life's about. Life's life is about food in my eyes. Any opportunity to talk about food or eat food, I will be present.
Is your goal still to be that lean, or is it now to kind of take that step forward? You've got as lean as you want to be, and now you want to kind of build muscle. I know some people kind of have these goals of becoming like this huge bodybuilder, or they see people like
Mm,
Nimai Delgado, the vegan bodybuilder, and they're like, oh, I'm going to be that next person. Or they'll see some
yeah.
like rich role, and they'll be like, oh, I want to be that next ultra athlete, that next vegan ultra athlete, and it's just kind of, is that where you want to go, or is it more the fact that it's just you have your own goals, you just kind of want to see how it goes, you want to see the progress, you just want to build muscle as such?
Yeah, so definitely the focus before, like you said, my Instagram was lean, lazy, vegan before, and that was the ultimate goal to get as lean as possible. And that was another reason for changing my username to Lucas Likes It Vegan because I felt just having that word lean just put on an unnecessary bodily pressure on myself that I have to look a certain way. I know it sounds so like miniature, but for me mentally, I just didn't feel I wanted that to be so apparent anymore. So yeah, now I'm just focused on doing what I want to do really. So if I do want to get more leaner, that's cool. If I want to get more bulkier, that's also cool too. So I'm just open to anything at the moment and just to see how we get on.
Yeah, I think it is nice that you did realize that, obviously, that like giving yourself a label or a target of like lean can obviously affect how you think about it as well. It's
Yeah.
you're giving yourself this label, and it's kind of like, are you that if you don't stick to that, is that going to represent to the rest of your community? Because obviously you've built a little community around you, a very supportive community on your
Mm,
Instagram, and obviously having something where it's kind of like a goal as a name, um, can really misrepresent what your goal
yeah,
could eventually turn out to be. Um,
100%.
that
Uh,
it's nice that you've kind of seen that, you've changed it, and you can kind of progress with how you need to now.
exactly. I'm so glad I started that Instagram because I was really unsure, but I kept posting things on my personal Instagram that was just heavily vegan related. So I thought this has to shift elsewhere. And I said to a few of my friends, oh, I don't know, I'm still new to this. I'm only 3, 4 months in. Can I do this? And everyone said, yeah, just go for it. Just document your journey. So yeah, doing that has been really beneficial for sure. And I really do love my little small account because I've made some like really great friends through it. So it's been really fantastic.
I think that's the thing, especially with the community that you can get on Instagram, especially in the vegan or plant-based community. It's a lot more
Mm,
supportive than any other community I've seen. Like, I've dabbled in other communities in the past on
yeah.
Instagram, and there's people that just aren't as supportive. Like, everybody here is on the same journey. Everybody kind of, they're doing it for the same, initially the same reasons.
Mm,
Um, and there's always that will to succeed. Whereas other communities, especially in like the influencer, in it when it's come to like huge influencers and
mm,
kind of travel communities and things like that, that there's always hatred going on. Obviously,
yeah.
we get a lot of hatred as well. I get it on a day-to-day basis on my
Yeah.
account, uh, which is always fun. But
You
that's
always
normally
handle it very well though.
I do. I try not to give them. I try not to give them too much of a word in edgeways, because, well, actually, to be fair, some days I don't deal with it at all, and I just let the community just go in at them.
Yeah.
I feel like some at one point somebody will see the comment, and then next thing I don't have to do anything. There's about 5 or 6 comments,
That's it.
and
People
they're
have got your back, and that's what we love to see in the vegan community. It's great.
it is nice to see. That's the thing. It's like you have built that community where it is everybody's got each other's backs.
Yeah.
Everybody's quite happy to stick up for each other. And then when you do get that random troll, they back away very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you
It's
get
just a great way.
any trolls on yours?
No, I don't have anything on mine. I think 'cause I'm just like a tiny little account, people don't bother with me. But,
I'll send
I
mine
love
your
it. Thanks. Thanks, Callum.
way. But obviously, in the last kind of few weeks, oh, I say few weeks, few months, I've seen that your page has completely grown to kind of a kind of a documented food page instead, and some of those meals are looking absolutely outstanding. But
Oh, thank you.
what would you say? I'm gonna put it out here now, so I'm gonna make you really, I'm gonna make your life very hard.
Oh,
What's the best meal that you think you've had since January 1st,
oh,
2021?
that I've made or that I've had
We'll
out
do
at
we'll
a
do one of
restaurant?
each. We'll do one of each.
I think the best thing I've made has got to be my lentil dal. I'm obsessed with it at the moment. I just think it's absolutely amazing.
Love, love. But the thing is, I can never make them look good.
Oh,
Like picture wise, it's hard to take a nice picture of a lentil dal.
yeah, it is hard, but it's just one of those meals that's just so hearty and comforting. It doesn't have to look good. That's what I tell myself anyway.
I've made about three of them to try to take pictures of, and
Yeah,
every time I'm like, it just looks like gloop. Like
yeah.
I will try to put like a leaf on top and be like, oh, make it look slightly pretty, but not
Yeah,
good.
bit of seasoning and cover it up. That's what I do. Sometimes bit coriander. I'm like, there we go. It's like gold dust to my food. And best meal out. That's hard. I think that is hard because I've been out so many different places this year. If I had to
Let's
say,
change up the question. Let's the best
oh,
vegan alternatives instead.
oh, best vegan alternative is probably it's got to be the burgers. I think. I- In terms of savory, it's definitely burgers or chicken nuggets. And in terms of sweet, I think vegan ice cream and chocolate is just absolutely insane. I don't know why you'd want to go back to it standard ice cream or chocolate when you've got all these options out there. It's just absolutely amazing. Oh, donuts, donuts. Donuts is number one.
Never beat a good donut. We have a
Yeah.
we have a local vegan donut shop, probably about 5 minutes away from where I am.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
temptation every time I walk past it is very real.
See, do you prefer a filled donut or a ring donut?
See, I'm more of a filled donut.
Yeah.
Depending what it is, I can't stand jam or custard or cream. It has to be something like lotus or something inside.
So no custard or jam and pineapple on pizza. Yeah, this isn't great, Callum.
I'm a monster. I'm a monster.
What do you like about jam?
I don't think it's so much a jam. I just don't like it squirting out the other side. It just gets in a mess, and it's just put me off.
Oh yeah. I
It just
mean, I'm
puts me off.
partial to a square, it's fine. But it can get messy. You are correct.
Yeah, they are. Especially when they're like. But the thing is, lately they like, unlike what, like 10 years ago, like a donut of any sort would have like the tiniest bit of cream inside, tiniest bit of like jam,
Mm,
and now it's literally like the pastry is like a very thin layer, and the inside is literally
exactly.
just pure jam and nothing else. And when you bite into it, it's just. Although I did have one in Brighton, a few weeks ago,
Mm.
which kind of like had a like a pizza thin crust inside, full of like a jam, and then it was like croissant over the top of
Oh.
it. So it's kind of like a circle of jam. It wasn't just in the middle.
Oh, okay. That sounds
Made out
quite
made out
good.
of croissant instead, and that was something.
Oh, that sounds divine.
It was really good. I was surprised. But also it was a galaxy colored, so I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and I don't know how good this is for me.
All these emotions, what to feel.
But I can confirm it's probably one of the best donuts I've had.
That's a big statement.
It is, but there is so many to choose from. But I would say I think it's called like Voodoo Donuts or something like that,
Mm.
which kind of like I think it is a chain of donuts, but it was well worth it.
Oh, so good. We've got a local vegan donut place called Glazed Donuts here in Newcastle. And honestly, I could just live there with them and just bathe myself in donuts because they're just out of this world. And they make everything fresh from scratch as well, all the fillings, the actual donuts. Oh, it's just amazing. And they're a small business, so it's so nice to support them too and to eat great food.
Sounds incredible, to be fair.
Yeah,
That sounds
it's
incredible.
great.
So, okay, what is the worst vegan alternative that if anybody's listening to this, that they should just stay away from? And feel free, I don't get paid by anybody, so feel free
Me neither.
feel free to name the brand. Um,
Worst thing I've had. I've not really had that many bad things, to be quite honest. I had more rubbish things before when I tried to go veggie. Like I had an awful beetroot burger once from Aldi, and that was really disgusting. I can't remember if it was veggie or vegan. It was one or the other. That was really not great. In terms of veganism, mm, something that really stands out, to be honest.
yeah, I've got
What about you?
one brand in particular that I cannot stand, and
Oh.
I just don't know if they just don't try. It's just
Did you put any effort into this or not?
that's literally how I feel about it. Is gosh food
Gosh,
is awful.
I don't
Um,
think I've heard of them.
don't try, don't try.
Avoid.
They do plant-based sausages, but they're made out of like I think it's like black beans and cracked pepper. And
Mhm.
I don't think it's meant to taste like an alternative, but it also doesn't taste great for something that's not an alternative.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how they're still on shelves. Um, sorry, gosh. If you're listening.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but um, the only thing I know they do well, and I don't know if you can really screw up a this food, is a falafel.
Mm.
The falafel is very just basic. It's just chickpeas
Yeah,
mashed together. Whereas everything else they've created, I just can't stand.
just can't get on board with it. That's
Right, so
fair enough.
I went to a wedding a few months ago, and they were like, "Oh, we knew you were coming, so we brought you um, a load of food for the end of the table." And
Oh,
it was all gosh. And I was like,
you're
you know what?
joking.
You know what? I was like, I'm gonna. It was only that little kind of like cocktail sausages, and I was like, you know what? I'll try. I'll try. I'll have a few just to kind of be polite. They brought six
Mhm.
packs of them, so I had to be polite.
Wow,
And
it's a lot of sausages.
it was, and just for me as well.
Yeah.
Um, and I was kind of like, I had one. I was like, I can't eat it. It's absolutely vile. And
No.
I then made the bride try one, the one that brought them, and she was like, what is that? I was like, I don't know, but I will reimburse you any money if you throw them away.
Oh my
Because I was
goodness,
kind of like,
that's so
if
funny.
anybody else tries these, this is one of these things that people will eat this and be like, vegans eat awful food.
Yeah, giving us a bad rep.
Yes. And
It's unacceptable.
it was it's one of the worst things. Everything else I've ever had um has been near enough as delicious as it can be.
I just love that you fed the sausage to the bride.
I was like, I just can't I can't let people know they think this is what the food is, but also I need you to try this. I need you. And I think it might have ruined their wedding day, to be fair.
That's it. You'll never be invited anywhere again.
Yeah, I am. I'm now banned from places. But
Weddings, christenings, the lot.
yeah, any social gathering, which to be
Yeah.
fair, a lot of the time I'm normally fine with because it does stop a lot of awkward questions. from different parts of the family or friends they who don't really understand why I eat the way I do.
Mm,
So it
that's
does
true.
it if I'm banned from them, it's not the worst thing. But I think we're going to wrap this up soon. But for the people starting Veganuary 2022, feels weird
Yeah,
saying 22. Um,
it's very futuristic.
it is very futuristic. I would love to know what's going to go on in that year because obviously 2021, 2020 has been a minefield. So it can only either get better or worse.
The latter. No, I'm joking. Let's hope not. Let's hope it's going to be a good year.
So anybody that is thinking of going or starting Veganuary 2022, what would you tell them? Like what? Like obviously they're going to jump on the bandwagon. They're going to
Mhm.
jump on this whole campaign. But what's your best advice for somebody starting for January?
Don't restrict yourself. That is my best advice. Eat the meat alternatives, try different flavorings, try the different products, and just take it all as an experience as to what your lifestyle could potentially be after January, after Veganuary. I think that's what I would say to my past self.
You wish you had done it sooner.
Absolutely, 100%. I wish I'd done it sooner. It's been the biggest enlightenment in my life.
I think that's the thing. Everybody I think I've ever spoken to have always been like, I wish I jumped on this sooner. I wish I knew how to
Mm,
do this sooner. Um,
yeah,
because it is a life changing experience. As much as
yeah,
as much as it seems very minuscule in the grand scheme of things, changing up your diet slightly.
mm,
Um, there's so much benefit to it, and
yeah,
it's just kind of it does change your perspective on a lot of things. So kind of changing your diet then changes your mindset towards certain things that are going on in the world.
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely one of those. What you put in is what you get out,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just great. Go vegan, guys.
And for anybody, obviously looking at going vegan and still ramping up that fitness, also, what would you say to them? Because obviously you were still a fitness fanatic. You were in a gym multiple times of the week.
Mm, I would say give it your all in the gym, but make sure you're fueling yourself as well. Make sure you're still nurturing your body and giving your body the nutrients that it needs to function and to thrive in your workouts. You've got to have that balance of both food and fitness, not overdoing it at the gym and not restricting yourself when it comes to the food you're consuming. It's definitely finding that balance for sure. And I think that's what I would say to anyone that wants to both implement a plant-based vegan diet as well as exercise. Find the balance. Find what works for you because everyone's different. We're all individuals.
Hmm. And I think as well, knowing that there is that information out there to kind of thrive at the gym as well, and knowing where to get your certain nutrients from also.
Mm,
Because I'm guessing like when a lot of people start, they're kind of like, oh, where do I even start with protein?
yeah,
One,
exactly.
it's still one of the biggest issues and questions, yet there's so much information about it, and still people get it so wrong.
Yeah. And vegan protein powder is so much better than standard whey protein in in every single aspect.
See, I still haven't found one that I enjoy yet.
Really?
Yeah,
Not
but
at all.
I don't take much protein powder, to be fair. It's once in a while if I have like a goal to hit in the gym, which is
Yeah.
maybe like once a year, I may ramp up with a bit of protein powder once in a while, but it's normally from
Mm.
somewhere like my vegan.
Oh, you're not a fan of my vegan?
No, I'm not a fan of my vegan. But
Ah.
I
Wait,
have
what flavor did you try?
I think it was the banana one.
Oh no, I'm not a fan of the banana one either, and so I get that. But you need to try the salted caramel isolate. It is incredible. insane, as well as their carrot cake. But I agree, the banana is not great.
Right. I will give them another go. I will try it. One actually, I am lying. I have found one that I can tolerate, which is one of my friends, and they have a Belgian chocolate. I can't remember the
Ooh,
brand, but it's very well, I couldn't drink a whole thing of it because it's very sickly after a while.
yeah.
The initial taste is outstanding.
Oh, it sounds really indulgent.
Hmm. I will try find it for you. I'll try find it
Yeah,
for you and send it to you over.
definitely.
To be fair, you
Um,
could probably drink it as just a normal smoothie, to be fair, or a normal kind of
mm,
milkshake. So it does have that. It does have that element to
yeah. Oh, love that. Just love something that's sweet, but it's also quite good for you too.
it. So I think we're gonna wrap this up, and obviously, if anybody is looking at going and joining on to Veganuary 2022, then know there is people out there like Lucas, like me, that can help you. Lucas has been on a journey himself, and me, obviously, doing nutrition on Instagram and all over the internet. That there is resources out there, there's people that you can speak to, and there's people you can just kind of resonate with. That you're not just going to be on this journey on your own.
Absolutely. We're here for
We
you.
are here. And I think just like me, I think you're probably a very open book to anybody DMing you and just kind of finding out how you progressed with especially with any kind of queries they may have. If you don't want to come to anybody else, just go to Lucas because he has lived it for the last year.
Absolutely. Slide on into my DMs. It's a lovely place to be, I promise.
Right, we're going to wrap this up here, and I will see you next week.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.